Today I'm going to talk about podcasts here on YouTube. Fellow friends of mine who have knitting podcasts and are local to me, or somewhat local to me. So grab your current whip, grab a cozy beverage, and let's dive in. Welcome back, friends. If you are new here, my name is Melissa. I am the dyer behind Rising Tide Fiber Company. And if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. So as I mentioned, I want to chat about podcasts here on YouTube that I look forward to watching each week or whenever a new one pops up. Some of them aren't every week, some of them are monthly, some of them are every couple of weeks. So I have 7 friends of mine that have YouTube channels. So some of them you might be familiar with, but others of them you might not. So I'm going to start with one that will probably feel a little obvious, and that is because it is my friend Tasha over from Frogget Yarns. She and I are collaborating on our Advent this season. If you haven't ordered yours, you want to get in on that. I think the deadline's going to be June 10th is we're going to close pre-orders. But she has her own weekly podcast called Yarn Tea and Books. I will link it as well as everyone else's channels down below. I'll also try to link everybody's Instagram handles so you can follow everyone as well. Tasha has a pretty large repertoire of types of videos that she does. She does generally do a sit down knitting podcast in a format that most of us are accustomed to watching. She also will sometimes do a weekly vlog, sort of like a day in the life of what her life is like from day to day during a week. She does occasionally put in dyer website so you can kind of see her process downstairs in her dye studio, what that looks like. And then she does have, I think it's 3 episodes now where she's been like stashing down and kind of walking through her stash, making decisions about what she's keeping, what she's going to get rid of. So I love Tasha. We're actually, as you could probably imagine, pretty close. She has Boston Terriers. I have Boston Terriers. And she is in Pennsylvania, which doesn't sound like it's local to me, but she's really not terribly far. Tasha's videos usually range anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour, so fairly reasonable to sit down and watch all in one viewing. The second channel that I wanted to highlight is my friends over at Charm City Unicorns. Now, this is a larger sized podcast. I think there are over 3,000 subscribers at this point, but Shayla of Black Pearl Magic and Heather are in the Baltimore area, and I adore them both. I love that they highlight fun facts, sometimes about Baltimore. They have beautiful projects and they tend to acquire some stunning yarn. I think they do a fabulous job of finding size inclusive patterns and they share those sometimes. I know that they've managed to find patterns that I've not found before, so I find them to be kind of a gem. Now, I do understand that their podcasts range on average about an hour and a half. Some of the older ones were as long as 2 hours. They do sometimes sprinkle in some that are a little bit shorter. I definitely think if you're going to sit down and kind of settle in, they're a great podcast to even have in the background if you're up doing things, maybe you're meal prepping, that kind of stuff. Definitely fun to have them hanging out with you on a screen nearby. But if you're like me, you might want to kind of chop that up. I tend to watch their videos in 2 sittings because I don't always, with dogs, unless they really settle in, they're not going to let me sit for an hour and a half straight without having to get up and let them out. Again, they're here in the Baltimore metro area. They are not terribly far from me. I could be to them in about an hour, hour and a half, but they are here in Maryland, in a city that I love. The next one on my list is also out of Baltimore, and that is a Lefty Knitter podcast. And Aquila also has a larger subscriber base. She is in the 3,000 range. I think she's getting closer to 4,000 subscribers. Now, she's been at this for a while, and she has probably what I would consider two different subscriber bases. She does periodically sit down and do a regular knitting podcast and update you on projects. I love Aquila's podcast because she uses such a wide range of yarns. She's not afraid to do crafts or patterns in acrylic, but she also uses really nice yarn too. She kind of really spreads herself through the spectrum of different fibers. She crochets a lot too, so I'm always interested in what she's crocheting. She's found some really interesting, clever, and unique crafts. She does occasionally do sort of vlog style. She started out doing a style that I actually really learned to like, where every day she would sit down and talk to the camera about what she was working on that day or what was going on in her fiber world each day, which kind of broke up the video, and I actually really liked that. I would say her other subscriber base follows her because she has a sock knitting machine. And so she has become so incredibly well versed in how to use that machine. And she does tons of tutorials on how to do different things on that machine. So I think people follow her because she's got such a breadth of knowledge when it comes to her sock knitting machine. And again, she is in the Baltimore area, which is a city that I love. Next up, before I leave the city of Baltimore, is a friend of mine, Jennifer, who has a podcast called Hear Her Hands. From that podcast title, you might figure out that Jennifer is hearing impaired. So she is a smaller YouTube channel, but I love her channel because she test knits for some very well-known designers. So she has firsthand knowledge on some of newer patterns or patterns that I've not seen before. She also is quite an advocate, obviously, for the disabled community, particularly those that are hearing impaired. And so hearing her perspective on some of the things that are going on in either our knitting community or policies at large is really interesting to me, because though I work with students with disabilities, I tend not to usually have many, if any at all, during a school year that are hearing impaired. So I find her to be quite interesting, quite resourceful. She is a little on the soft-spoken side, and you usually see a cat appear every once in a while. She'll do a vlog, something that's like a vlog style, and you see her dogs, who are service dogs. One is still in training a bit. Her podcast range anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. I would say she's more on a monthly schedule than weekly, but every once in a while she'll surprise us with more than one a month. And if I didn't mention, she too is in the Baltimore area. Next channel is also pretty large, I would say, and that is Meg from Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits. Meg used to be in the Frederick, Maryland area, but I know that they recently sold their house, and I don't remember where she moved to, but I'm pretty sure she's still here in Maryland. And Meg kind of took a little bit of a sabbatical from YouTube, but I think she is back. 2 weeks ago, she posted a video, and it was lovely to catch up with her. I suspect at that time she had recorded a really long one, and she was going to split it in two. So I anticipate a second video forthcoming. Meg is also a pattern designer. She is most known for her colorwork yoke sweater patterns, and she is pretty inclusive, meaning they usually go from like a toddler size on up through adults. She's got some where the yolks are kind of mix and match, where you kind of design it yourself based on the charts that are provided. She is another one that is not afraid to kind of swing the spectrum of yarns. She will definitely knit in acrylic. She knits with a lot of knit picks. But then she also used to be a dyer, so she's got, indie dyed yarn in her stash as well. So I think as she kind of settles into her new home a little bit, we are going to see more of Meg here on YouTube. She also has a tiny little human at home. He's probably not so tiny. I want to say he's like 3. So she does a lot of children's patterns and a lot of patterns that I kind of think of as kind of nerd centric, like anything that's kind of nerdy in nature. Like it used to be Harry Potter stuff. I think her son is really into Pokemon. So things like that. The next podcast is a friend of mine that I love to see when she has a new video, and that's Andrea over at Karcher Mate. I think Andrea does a really great job of also having quite the repertoire of different types of videos to watch. She definitely will do a sit down knitting podcast episode. She has videos where she talks that are more vlog style. Like I think her most recent one was her trip to Yarn Centric and Maryland Sheep and Wool and things that she's purchased. She also has done a series where she put out a video every Wednesday called Whip Wednesday, and every week we got an update on the Jethro cardigan that she was crocheting the squares for and then knitting up. That was a really fascinating series for a while. She definitely updates us about once a month. Every once in a while, she'll sneak one in every couple of weeks. She does Vlogmas. She's done some interesting videos like on journaling, like her knitting journal. For the last couple of years, she's done a video recapping the Knitting for Charity with Lauren Elkin. That's always really interesting to see how that went. And Andrea's over in Pennsylvania. She's like Tasha. She's just kind of just over the line, just close enough to make her feel local to me. And then the last YouTube channel that I have is a new one, and it's one I'm actually excited for. Its first video was this week. Shannon is Shenanigans and Skeins, and I met her through, I want to say, Heather and Shayla of Charm City Unicorns. Like they're kind of the 3 musketeers in my head originally. And Shannon has decided to start her own YouTube channel, and it just premiered this week with a video, and she's anticipating releasing them weekly. She's not afraid of color. I think in her first video, you might notice that, she's probably, I'm guessing, speculating, she was a little nervous when she first settled in. But as soon as she started talking about her actual knitting, that was the Shannon that I know. Like her personality totally came through. So I'm really excited to see where her podcast will go. She is not afraid of color. She's not afraid of speckles. So you will probably find her to be just as delightful as some of these others. So that is wrapping up everyone who I would consider a friend, and some closer than others, but are all really local to me. I look forward to their podcasts every time they put one out. I find them to be delightful human beings, just really good people. I would love for you to go check out their podcasts. Is there someone that's local-ish to me? Because I know there's plenty of podcasts we all look forward to. I mean, there are some podcasters that don't live anywhere near me, and as soon as their podcast lands in my subscriber thread, I'm super excited and I want to drop everything and watch. But is there someone that's kind of localish to me that you think that I would really enjoy, particularly if you enjoy my podcast? I would love to know. Localish to me, I would obviously consider Maryland because I am in Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Delaware, and West Virginia. That pretty much all the bordering states, or states that I can get to in a few short hours, is what I would consider close. So share away in the comments. I would love to find new podcasts here on YouTube to subscribe to. So until next time, friends, happy making.